Alright, hello. Welcome to another Bloons Tower Defense 6 video. This time we're jumping into the new map called Luminous Cove. And what's really interesting is that this time around we will be using the brand new tower, almost exclusively the tower called the Mermonkey, which is actually a really cool tower. The tower is an amphibian, meaning that you can use the tower on both land and water, which was massively needed, considering that there are hardly any water towers in the game at this point. So very useful there. So this map is an intermediate map. It's not particularly difficult, but the challenge lies in the fact that you can't really be using a lot of the very strong land towers this time around. And there are also two different exits as well, meaning that your towers will mostly be placed here in the middle, so you can cover both exits relatively easily. For the hero, we can use we're using Brickell just because Brickell combines pretty well with water towers, but in general, Soda is someone that you could still use. It doesn't really matter, but anyway, let's just begin placing down the sub here first. So let's do that. So they're gonna loop around here, so the sub can hit the balloons actually twice. It's actually going to be pretty difficult to lose the game. And yeah, there's not much more to say. We gotta save up for Brickell, but Brickell is quite expensive. It's more on the expensive side of the heroes, so we need to place down the Mermonkey as well, which we will do in just a second. So here's a decent spot. I don't really know exactly where I should place them. Here, I guess. Yeah, so we will be using the every single tier 5 as well, so the axis of Mermonkey basically. Getting all of them in here, I think is good. Yeah. All right, so this we should be able to afford Brickell soon enough. So the first time I beat this, I did use Soda, but Soda, you think like if you are going to use only water towers, it makes sense to use the only water tower hero you've got. So, but Soda again is still going to be a pretty good choice because of the easy start. But to be fair, the start isn't really that difficult, but you got to be careful of lead. For some reason, none of the Mermonkeys can really target leads until later on, once you get upgrades, so that's worth keeping in mind. So before we enter the next round, let's just place Brickell down, so barely there in time. The reason why is because, well, she levels up, so you get her basically in level 2 from the beginning instead of from level 1. Okay, so we will be placing down... What is next? I don't even know. Let's just upgrade the bottom path first. That's the one we'll be using for this one. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one you go for, but I like the bottom path first. So we're gonna be cruising through. There's nothing remotely challenging, honestly. The sub though, we will be using the top half for the sub, just because it's quite useful actually that that the sub covers, like, I don't remember the upgrade, but the submarine, like, goo type of upgrade. Sounds a bit weird, but it does cover a decent amount of balloons, so it's pretty useful. Okay, so the next one, we'll place it here. This is gonna be the top half, I believe, and the last one we can place, like, over here. It's good. Something like that. And that's pretty much every single tower we will be having during the entire game, more or less. So it's not, again, it's not too challenging in that regard. So Trident efficiency and swiftness just allows the Mermonkey to shoot faster, so I think that is a good idea. And for the sub, we get heat tipped darts just so we are better suited for lead popping power, because we are lacking in lead, and round 28 is coming up fairly soon. So I mean, Brickell can pop lead with her bombs or whatever, but they are a little bit unpredictable, and I almost did lose at round 30 when I did not have the sub, so I thought that was entirely unnecessary to go for. So But yeah, longer range, advanced intel, and there's not an issue. The LEDs are not a problem at all. Next up, you can always just get, for the top half, I think we should get the bottom path for the camo, just to be on the safe side there. So we will do that soon enough, I guess, but might as well get the luring melody first, which is kind of similar to the balloon chipper upgrade in a way. It's a really interesting upgrade. It basically just, like, this monkey doesn't pop too much, but it sort of just keeps them stuck, so your other towers can pop the balloons. So it's very useful in that regard. So we're gonna get that, and that's gonna be good for the Moab. Yeah, and for the other upgrades, we just in the middle path we go for the top half. I think it's the best one, so it can shoot faster. And for the top half, we go for the bottom path. I think that was how I was gonna go about it. But honestly, I haven't done enough research on the tower. I'm not exactly sure which pathing is the best one, but for this map specifically, it doesn't really matter. Like, again, the challenge is not too high on this map. It's a relatively simple map, but this tower though is better in water than on land. It has more range, so that's worth keeping in mind. But yeah, it's a really cool tower. I really like it. I like it significantly more than the Beast Handler. I think the Beast Handler was just a terrible tower. I really did not like it. I've never used it. I've just basically unlocked the upgrades and I haven't used it since. I kind of forget that the tower even exists. It's just, it's so annoying to use, too complicated. So it's not really worth it. So, okay, gotta be a bit careful here. So use the ability, and there we go. So, but yeah, as you can see, the balloons got kind of trapped by the melody there. But once you get the symphonic resonance, though, you can then target Moabs as well. So we will be getting that too. And next up, we'll get the Abyss Dweller here to get this creature. I don't really know exactly which tower to compare this one to, but this is kind of the Pierce pathing, so gives the other Mermonkeys more Pierce, which is of course very useful. And it's a pretty strong tower on its own as well. And we will also get this Riptide champion thing, which is more of, this is more damage kind of, and it also freezes the balloons, which is useful too. So this is gonna do most of the damage in the middle path, as you would kind of expect, because it's also the most expensive by quite a bit. But the top half also does a decent amount of damage though. So Abyssal Warrior coasts Trident in a thick ink that slows balloons. Abyssal creature grows in power, destroying most of the balloons with ease and enhancing nearby monkeys with more Pierce. Yeah, it's pretty decent. So all we're doing is that we're getting all of the upgrades more or less for each path, so we have the paths clear. I just like to have that, so I don't forget and upgrade the wrong one. But in general, and then we will get the Bloontonium reactor. Yeah, that was what I was trying to point to earlier. It's just very useful. So now we have camo more or less solved, but also lead is not an issue anymore either. And it's all about saving for all of the different tier 5s right now. And we will begin with the final harmonic, but it doesn't really matter which one you begin saving for. You can also get the Arctic Knight right away. I did both. I just tried various things, various strategies to see which one. But one thing you have to make sure is that you get the tier 5 for the middle path before, like, so you don't get it last, so you get it like second last at the latest, which is what we will do here. But yeah, we're not gonna have any issues. It's tempting to buy it. You can buy it if you want. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's just gonna be very easy. And because of this Bloontonium reactor, it's very good against balloons. So, like, round 63 and stuff, and ceramics in general are not an issue. So, again, it's just a very simple strategy. There's 55, not a problem. So we're just cruising right now. Doing pretty well here. So there isn't that much more to say, honestly. Like, Brickell is decent. You can use these whenever you want to. For some reason, I can't quite remember what this ability does. I'm not entirely sure. But okay, let's see. I think it deploys some of the mines faster or something like that. For some reason, I just can't remember. Sea mines fire off quicker. Okay, yeah. It's like more range and some camo. Yeah, so that is useful, I guess. So, but again, we're not in need to use any of the abilities anyway, so I don't really see the point of using it then. But obviously, if you're afraid of losing or something like that, you can always use it. And here comes the camo lets, but that is not an issue, of course. There we go.
Look to the horizon.
Yeah, so here's a medium. But again, not a problem. The BFBs are... This is gonna be more than good enough to take care of the BFB. So, a little bit of distraction there, and boom. There's the BFB, that was it. It's around 61, we can soon get the final harmonic one, but you can also save up for the Lord of the Abyss if you prefer. That's gonna give the towers even more pierce. This is more like to give Brickell a little bit more range and lower the cooldowns. So I'll get that first, but again, it doesn't really matter. And here comes the Mega Mines, which you can always use for the Moabs. But you should be good though, but I do recommend to, why not place one down? They're very good against group Moabs. So it's a very powerful ability actually, and you get it back almost instantly too. So this is kind of a huge part of Brickell as a whole, as a hero. This Mega Mine here. It's like a big part of the strategy. So you can see here, I do this, and then I got every single Moab. So it's a very useful ability. So here's the Arctic Knight. We'll get that next, and then we'll go for the middle path. And then I believe on round 95, which is exactly why it's so important that you don't get this last, then you're gonna have a much harder time defending against the DDTs. It's possible, but I did die a few times before I was able to defend properly when I tried that. So I recommend that you get the middle path before you go for the Lord of the Abyss, because you're not gonna be close to losing anyway with the Arctic Knight ability, which is really good. Alright, so round 66. There we go. And if you wonder what the ability does, it basically just shoots out these things here. Just a kind of a regular ability in that regard, but it just does a lot of damage. That's pretty much it, and it also freezes. Not to a crazy extent, like the main ability, the Pop Sidon ability, which we get once we have 56k, but it's still pretty decent. Okay, this is going too slowly for my taste. There we go. That's kind of the downside of having everything in the middle, is that the video is just going to be longer because we have to sit and wait until the Bloons arrive. But as you can see, it's not exactly a very difficult map. And the strategy I have here is not anything extraordinary by any means. It's just the most kind of just basic. But I guess that's also why the map itself is labeled as an intermediate map and nothing more. There we go. Just trying to speed things up a bit, so I'll be using a little bit of abilities or whatever, but you will not be needing it at all. There isn't anything that's gonna kill you just yet. The DDTs are the biggest concern, but they are also not really a concern if you know what you're doing. So 56 is quite a bit, but it's not that much. And we will be getting it at around, I think it's kind of late. Is it like 88 or something? I don't remember. But we will wait and see. If I want to give myself a challenge, I could go for Lord of the Abyss first, but as I said, I don't recommend doing that. Then you gotta, if you want to make it, then you have to be like really smart, or you have to be, very careful. You have to like gather all of the DDTs here, and then you gotta use the Mega Mine and stuff. I mean, I made it work, but it was annoying. So don't do that. Don't recommend it. The bat is also a threat, actually. So that's also worth keeping in mind. It's not really much of a threat, but it's kind of a threat. Gotta be a bit careful, but we're not there yet. Round 75 now. As you can see, nothing is getting remotely close. So here are some regrowths. That is not a problem. Much thanks to this sub here, by the way. So getting that sub is really worth it. It's only 2k. Very useful for everything. LEDs, camos. And I do think that the Mermonkey also decamifies, but the sub is gonna hit also this little part of the map here. So it decamifies like the DVTs that come through on the right, which are not reached by the Mermonkey as quickly. So that is another part. So here's 78. Again, not a problem. BFB is gonna come out, so I'm just gonna place this down. There we go. There we go. And now come the ceramics. Right here. Not a problem. And that is round 78. We got 25k. Lord of the Abyss 31k. Oh, also there is this thing here. As you can see, there are 3 Mermonkeys here. So every time you have a tier 5, for each tier 5, you get like one of these balls. What this ball does is that it's gonna open this thing later, but it doesn't do anything. All it does is to add more water to the map. So it's not anything like, oh, more damage or whatever. It just gives you more water, which is honestly not that useful.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
And I can't really think of any scenarios where it would be useful. I guess if you would be doing some sort of farming with the Buccaneer or some shit. But if you're doing that, I guess you would have to be during a boss fight or something. And there aren't any boss fights on this map. At least not yet. Maybe it will come because you have both the sub Paragon and the Buccaneer Paragon, but I don't know. It's kind of a tough map to have a boss fight on, just because of the lack of options you have. You have only 2 options. Maybe we'll get the Mermonkey Paragon soon, but I doubt it. I think the tack shooter is what's next, which is really cool. And after the tack shooter, then we will be getting... who knows what we will be getting? Okay, so look how useful this mine is. Just incredibly useful. Gotta be a little bit more careful now though. So now's the time when the ability is actually quite useful. So we will be using the ability a little bit. Also this here, might as well use this also, just to make sure we're not losing. Because these abilities is kind of a reason why this one is 8k, right? And if I never use it, well, then I'm not using the cards I've been dealt. So I do want to avoid, like, you know, having to do a lot of macro. Macro, that doesn't sound right. I guess it is right. But I do want to avoid that as much as I can, but there is no need why you shouldn't. Any reason why you shouldn't be using the abilities. So, yeah, this thing is quite expensive, right? So, we're almost there, though. Almost there. Just a little bit, another mine, and we lost. Shit. That's not good. Okay. Gotta be a little bit careful. So this was trickier than what I was expecting, though. That's good to know. That's very good to know, actually. There we go. Let's attack now. And now, let's use the ability now. There we go. So, that's it. That wasn't particularly difficult, it's just I wasn't using the abilities in a good way. Just wasting the abilities in the beginning. So, that's good to know. That you can't be falling asleep at the wheel either. But a better strategy, honestly, is to just go for the middle path first before you go for the this one. I think that is a pretty useful thing to do, because then you are more or less covered. Even though it's expensive, you get it at round like 76 or something, but you're not going to lose in the earlier rounds. So that is something to keep in mind. But that's good. As long as I make the mistakes first, that's what matters. So here's 87, but nothing is gonna get past us. This Mermonkey is incredibly strong. And again, we can use the Mega Mines here. We can use Brickell whenever we want to. And this ability here is incredibly good. So we're saving up for the Lord of the Abyss, and we will get it around 95. And yeah, that is more or less it. So, really cool map. This is one of my favorite maps so far, honestly. Definitely one of the cooler maps of the game. I really like it. Just a fun map to play. And definitely, I think it's better than Spice Islands in terms of the water map. So it's the best water map in the game, which automatically makes it one of the best maps in the game. So a great one. So here's round 90. So this is the biggest threat in the entire game, the DDTs, but these are not an issue, thanks to the Mermonkey again. The spotting path is pretty good. You get those. But it doesn't really matter. But remember the ability though. And this ability here freezes everything on the screen. And it does the same, like, just a more powerful snowball thing or whatever. So if I use it, I guess I can use it on the So My Gods here. Or COMGs. So My Gods, and Super John Bombo is the one that says that. But as you can see, it lasts a long ass time there. So I hear the DDTs again, but the bottom path is gonna take care of that. We're getting closer to that 31k that we need. Just not there yet. There we go. 94 is always scary, but not very scary in this case. If I use Brickell's ability, it just goes crazy. Just very easy. It's just a very strong monkey all around. Here's now 95, but with this ability here, it's just not going to be an issue. But obviously, we will be using the abilities just to make sure that we don't mess up. So, do this, then we can use this, then we can use this, and then we can get the Lord of the Abyss, and that's it. That was it. Not anything, not very tough. Brickell is now level 16. I think we get her to 17 at the end. And lastly, we will be getting the Ultra First Strike. The First Strike. So we can take care of the bad. The reason is because it's just the safer way to go about it. You'll see why. Once we get it, you will see why. So, oh yeah, this is, with all of the tier 5s, we got this, but as you can see, it's just extra water, so it doesn't do anything. Okay, there was round 97. With round 98, we can place the bomb. Obviously, for round 98, you would like to use the abilities just to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed, but shouldn't be an issue. Just use the abilities, and that was not exactly very difficult. So there we go. First strike. And Brickell again. That was round 99, and here's the bad. So just to show you what happens in case you don't use the first strike, I guess you could use the bomb here, but you are in danger of losing, at least if you don't use it. But let's try to not use it, just to see what happens. I think the DDTs are a little scary. Yeah. Okay, we got it there, but we barely got it. But what you can do, if I just go home now, because okay, we completed it, but let me show you how to use it. So now for round 100, instead of doing that, we can just use the ability instead, just to show you that it's. We'll do this, I guess, but just to show you that it's just much easier to do it that way. Yeah, I guess we can still do this. There, and there we go. Not, that was much safer, just to put it that way, but there we go. So that is a Mermonkey. This one, 1 million pops on it, so it's a very, very good tower. The Lord of the Abyss is also pretty powerful. In the last run I did, that was even the one that popped the most, but that was because I got pop side on at the very, very end. But yeah, I think it's a better idea to get this one first. It's a bit safer. But again, you should be fine even though you get this one later. Just make sure that you manage the abilities well. And that's it. That is Luminous Cove. So I haven't gotten a black border on it, but should be getting that fairly soon, I suppose. But that's it. So Luminous Cove has been completed. And until next one, hopefully that will be soon. Bye for now.